Hey everybody, Ryan F. MTG here, and we just got done talking about the new red cards from the Force Seekers, so now that means time to talk about the green cards. I kind of talked about Ascend and just the mechanics in general in my red video, so if you didn't watch that and you want to get like my thoughts about Ascend in a whole, go watch that. But so we're kind of going to skip over that and just go straight into the cards. However, I do want to preference one thing. I think some colors will be better with Ascend than others, because with Ascend you do have to sacrifice a unit in order to Ascend status another unit. Therefore, I do think that red is pretty good with Ascend because you have a lot of ETB, deal damage to creatures, where green tends to have a lot of high MP cost cards. So therefore, it could be harder because you don't want to throw away those heavy hitters. However, we'll kind of see what green is bringing to the table because maybe it's giving us more fodder and more fuel for our Ascend. The first card up is a Ascend card. It's a 3 MP for a 2/5. With Ascend, it gets +2 attack and spillover. This is a heavy hitter if you can Ascend it because it becomes a 4/5 with spillover just for 3 MP. This is so good. So if you are playing a Ascend deck and you have some food to sacrifice with this creature, this is a heavy hitter, especially early on. Yes, this will get outpaced later on in the game, but it can definitely trade off in the early or mid game. And also you have shield, or if you have other ways to give it more attack or more HP, it can even be a late game hit. So overall, I like this card in a Ascend package. Crusher is 3 MP for 1/6. With Flight and Ascend, it gets +1 attack. I think this card is cool because it is 3 MP, so it's a very early game play like our previous card. Flight is always nice because it's evasion, of course. Ascend of just +1 attack is pretty weak. I don't think this card is pretty worth it. I think, yes, a 2/7 with Flight is very good, especially for 3 MP, but having to sacrifice a card and green not having tons of ways to sacrifice cards, in my opinion, at least out of the cards that we've seen, this doesn't seem great to me. Like, it's good, but doesn't seem great by any means. One is a 3 MP for 2/4, and Death gives +5 life to your hero. This is fodder for Ascend. If you are wanting to sacrifice creatures and units, this is a pretty good one. 3 MP for a 2/4, like, that's not a terrible body. Like, that can get hit once or soak up some, Ryu BB Hood damage, maybe stay on the board. And then once it dies with Ascend, or, if BB Hood kills it or something, you get +5 life, which green kind of likes a life buffer. So this is definitely not like, oh my god, this card is broken. But if you really want some Ascend fodder, this kind of seems like it might fit the bill, especially it's 3 MP, so it's very easy and, doesn't cost a lot to cast. So overall, like, not super flashy of a card, but I could see it being a role player. Next up is this monster. 4 MP for a 2/7. With Ascend, it gets +3 HP and shield. This is a big hitter. Well, it has more big HP and shield. In my mind, in order to play this card, you kind of need to buff up that attack. Yes, a 2/10 with shield is good, but I kind of want to make this actually a heavy hitter so it can trade or just start dealing damage a little bit more. But like, overall, this is a pretty good body, and a pretty big body at that, for just 4 MP. So like, I could see it, but yet again, I feel like I said this about Juan. Not super flashy, but pretty decent overall. Nikali is 4 MP for a 2/5. When a friendly unit other than itself dies, you gain 1 MP. That's nice, especially if you are playing with Ascend and, you're sacking your other units to trigger Ascend, or just, they're trading off in battle. This is kind of netting you MP, which is really good because usually green decks are pretty MP hungry. However, just 1 MP is not a ton. And how many triggers will this really get before Nikali himself dies? I don't think a lot. So overall, I don't think this is worth it. Like, yes, I would love MP ramp so I can be playing my 3, 4, and 5, 6, 7 big green creatures that green loves to play. However, I don't think this is doing enough ramp to really warrant it into a deck. John Tailbane, 4 MP for a 2/7. Ascend, so yet again, you have to sacrifice stuff. It counter damage +3. Pretty good overall, and especially like, building on this to give it more HP or really more attack. And I feel like I've said that about another card, is you want to give more attack because a lot of these are giving like HP or shield. So if you can buff this attack, it actually seems pretty good. And especially like, I kind of like Green's getting a couple or lower cost units of 3 and 4 that seem pretty decent, which is kind of nice rather than like the curve really starting at 5 or something. Another 4 MP green unit, it's a 2/7 with spillover. If it's ascended, it gains victory of +2/+4. This card can be a nightmare for your opponent. Like, it's a 2/7 with spillover right there, which is like pretty big stats, and spillover is very nice. But then, like, the victory, if you can get like 1 or 2 victories off this is just going to keep building and building and building and regaining life and HP back every time it kills an opponent's unit, which is really, really nice. Throw a shield on this, throw some HP, or even an attack, so it only needs a hit like once or twice to kill a unit. This can become a heavy hitter. So the more I'm looking at these like 3 and 4 MP cards, Green's definitely getting a little bit more aggressive. Like, yes, you still have to sacrifice this something, but this definitely seems worth it. So like, playing Juan of, +5 life, starting to seem a little bit more worth it when we're getting these good of payoffs. Blaze is a 4 MP 2/4 with flight. Not great stats, but flight is nice. Ascend is +1/+3. That's pretty good. It's a 3/7 for 4 MP. Yet again, 3/7 with flight isn't anything crazy. It's not dealing damage or pumping up your team or killing the opponent's units or anything like that, but it's only 4 MP. So I'm starting to feel like we might need to be a little bit more particular of what 3 and 4 MP units we are playing in green decks, because we can't play them all. But, this is pretty good. This is a good curve filler. I am a little hesitant with this one just because you do have to sacrifice something, and I think that payoff is not as good as the other ones, and the base rates aren't as good as the other ones, but still like a fine card in and of itself, and like decent, but I'm not as high on this compared to some of the other ones we've talked about so far. Rainy, on the other hand, I think is a very good card. 4 MP for 110. Kind of weird stats, 110 is like, wow, that's so low attack and so high HP. However, Ascend, it gets +3 attack and gains spillover. That means it's a 4/10 with spillover. This is a pain to kill since it has so much HP. And then 4 attack is actually kind of high and has spillover. Like, this is going to be a heavy hitter. Yet again, throw shield on it, maybe pump up the attack or defense a little bit. This is going to be hard for the opponent to kill. And for just 4 MP, this is the type of one that I want to be playing, maybe over, Blaze or something like that. So Rainy, definitely good. I definitely want to be playing this in a green Ascend type deck. Dudley's back. We haven't seen him in a Street Fighter for a little bit, but Dudley's a cool character. He's a boxer, he's a gentleman. In Teppen, he is 5 MP for 3/6. Okay, not great. However, Ascend, you get +3 HP and gains combo. +3 HP is kind of nice. This would be a 3/9 with combo. That's pretty good. Nothing like insane, but like 3/9 with combos, that's hard to deal with. Yet again, I'm going to say throw a shield on him. He's even harder. I like Dudley. I think Dudley's pretty good. This monster is 5 MP for 2/7 with flight. Just very vanilla and basic flight creature. No bells, no whistles, no ascend, no nothing. However, 5 MP is not too high. A 2/7's pretty good stats when you think about it with flight and evasion. So if you are playing, I'm almost thinking like X charge shot, a way to pump its health and attack, and then it has evasion, this could actually be a heavy hitter pretty fast. But in a Sen type style deck, I don't think this has a home, just like a vanilla base creature. But like with a X charge shot, I think this could actually be kind of like maybe a 5 MP finisher type move that, no bells, no whistles, but it can hit. It can do a good job. Another Street Fighter character. However, we have seen Karen very recently in Street Fighter. In Teppen, she is 5 MP for 2/8. That's pretty good stats. Like 5 MP for 2/8, pretty decent. Agility, nice ability. With Ascend of +2/+2 and inflicts seal on the unit in front. I like this card a lot. Seal is so powerful. Like, we play Disarm or the Dinosaur that inflicts seal. Like, those are cards that we play in and of themselves, where this is on a very good body. Because if this is Ascend, it's a 4/10 with agility. That's a very big unit with agility, so it would be hitting hard and fast. And then on top of that with seal, like, this is a very good card. It's legendary, kind of no surprise. The red legendaries, most red legendaries are good. Karen is definitely a very good legendary that I feel like even if you're not really playing a Ascend deck, you definitely will be playing Karen in some variety for sure. Now, this card's kind of a send payoff. It's 6 MP for 2/8. And when attacking, if friendly units have had Ascend status 3 or more times in this battle, it deals damage to an enemy unit equal to its HP. So let's say it hasn't taken any damage, it's a 2/8, so it'll deal 8 damage the first time it's attacking. Yes, it can get hit and that damage can go less and less and less, but that's a pretty powerful effect. Like 8 damage is no joke. Even if it got hit for 3, 5 damage is no joke. You do need to make sure your Ascend status is 3 or higher, which can kind of be hard, but that's not super hard, right? And so this is definitely a payoff to the Ascend mechanic in my mind for green, because this type of effect is very powerful. Yes, there's hoops to jump through, but it's just one hoop, it's 3. Also, playing this with shield and ways to pump up HP will make this into a must-kill unit that your opponent has to deal with, and a unit that's going to deal a ton of damage to them. Because, putting shield on this, well, the first time it hits, well, it still has 8 HP, getting plus 2 HP, well, now it's dealing 10. So overall, I really like this card. It is 6 MP, which is kind of high. However, green tends to play high unit creature, or high MP creatures. But also, what's nice about this set is there's a lot of 3 and 4 MP units that I already kind of want to play, all with Ascend, or a lot have Ascend. So I could kind of see you doing that 3, 4, 5, and then 6 being your big payoff. This seems pretty good to me. Mika is an interesting one. It's 6 MP for a 3/1. That does not sound good, right? Those stats are bad, 6 MP is a lot. However, it says when played, increases HP equal to half of your hero's life. That can be a lot. Like if you haven't taken any damage, this is half of 30 is 15, so this would be a 315. That's insane. Like that's a humongous body, and like 3 attack is not a ton, but it's a lot, and having that much HP means that it's going to be trading off a lot, or your opponent has to use obliteration or something like that. However, later on in the game, if this is like one of your last plays, you're at 10 life, this would be 5, so it would be a 3/6 for 6 MP, which that does not sound that good, because 6 MP is still a lot. So this seems very hit or miss and situational. Also, even when it's at its even when Mika's at its best, it's still just a lot of HP, right? It doesn't have spillover, it doesn't have flight, it doesn't have agility or any key words, so it's just going to be a 3 attack with a lot of HP at its highest case, but the lowest case is like, it almost could be like dead in hand if you're at 5 or even 10 life, kind of. Not completely dead in hand, but not worth a card. Overall, I don't think Mika's really worth it. This machine's another interesting one. It's 6 MP for a 2/8. That doesn't sound too great by any means, but however, it has shield and anti-air. That's kind of nice. Anti-air is nice, shield is awesome. However, this unit's a wall. It cannot attack. However, if you ascend it, it gets +4 attack and loses this unit cannot attack. So it does not become a wall anymore. It's an activated wall. I think this card's good, because if you can ascend it, it becomes a 6 MP for a 6/8 with shield and anti-air. That's a big body that also is a good defender. However, if it's just a wall, that doesn't seem too good, because a lot of times opponents can play around it by like, if you put this in the bottom row and have it be a wall, well, they just won't put anything there. To be fair, you can sneak attack this in, and that could be a good sneak attack, but usually 6 MP is not exactly the cost of a sneak attack. So I don't know, I'm a little on the fence about this one. I could see some upside, especially if you're ascending it, but I'm really wondering if it's worth sacrificing a creature for those effects. However, like, it is a 6/8 with shield and anti-air, like, that is pretty good. So overall, on the fence, definitely don't think it's a bad card. I'm not just sure where the home is for this type of card. This monster is aggressive. 7 MP for a 4/5. It has rush and spillover. Victory deals 1 damage to 1 random enemy unit equal to attack. So even if you don't pump up the attack and you get 1 victory off of this, it deals 4 damage to a random enemy unit. That is awesome. It also has rush, so maybe you can like completely ambush something very fast and get the spillover effect too. So that's actually really, really good. However, it is 7 MP. 7 MP is a lot. and 4-5 is not the most attractive stats by any means. However, shield or plus HP really does make this a powerhouse, or if you plus its attack, it's going to be able to kill something maybe in one hit, and also it's going to deal more damage. I like this card. I think it's good. However, on the spot it's filling in the curve of decks, it's very costly, but it's very powerful. However, it is a little bit more work around because I do think you need to be playing shields and definitely like play this and shield it up right away. So I don't know if this is a 3 of, but like I could see some decks having this be like a nice high end 1 or 2 of, because it's a monster that hits hard and fast and, you know, deals damage. So overall I like it, but not as high on it as I kind of want to be. The last green unit in the set is a legendary, and it's Felicia. This card is kind of powerful, and in a very different way, I feel like, than we've seen other powerful Teppen cards. So it says, when played, adds 2 random unit cards from your deck to your EX pocket. That's kind of like draw 2, right? Because your EX pocket is probably something that, like, hopefully it's empty so you get both of them. You know, if you have something in there, you only get one, but that's pretty good. Like, 8 MP for a 4/7 that's going to draw you 2 cards. Like, that's pretty good. Yes, 8 MP is a lot, and 4/7 is not terrible stats, but for 8 MP is kind of a lot. However, what gets really nutty is the Ascend. If this is Ascended, it places all units from your EX pocket onto the field. That's insane to me, because as long as you're Ascending this, you know, you play it, 2 cards go to your EX pocket, and those 2 cards get played. And those 2 cards that are added to your EX pocket are always unit cards. So this could really just fill up the board real fast. You do have to kind of make sure that you have board slots open, because, like, you know, if this is, you're placing this on the only one free spot on the board and you do get the Ascended cost, like, those other units aren't going to be played. But like, if there's only 1 unit on the battlefield, you sacrifice this to Felicia's Ascend cost, and then you draw your 2 units and they get played. Like, that seems really powerful to me. Yes, there is some RNG element of maybe those 2 units aren't that great, or a big downside could be maybe those 2 units are units that have the Ascend in them, and so that Ascend won't trigger because they'll go onto an empty board slot, which that would feel really bad, because some of the units with Ascend, you're playing them to really get the Ascend trigger. But I think even with those like RNG elements, or like, oh, maybe I play a Ascend card without getting the Ascend bonuses, it still seems worth it. Like, Felicia definitely seems like a powerhouse. Yes, she is 8 MP. Yes, there's some RNG elements, but definitely seems very, very good. And the first green action of the set is a 1 MP card called Cunning Misdirection. This card's pretty interesting. It's a pump spell for one of your friendly units, and it gives it, after dealing damage to the enemy hero, it gains 1 HP, and you draw 1 card and add it to your EX pocket. That's actually pretty nice. It buffs your unit's HP, and you draw a card. That's actually a really powerful thing, because like, drawing those cards, hopefully you get like more pump spells, more interaction, or just more units. However, this needs to deal the enemy hero, not their units. So in my mind, what this really wants to be played with is flight. Not necessarily just a big creature. Green is all about the big creatures. And like, yeah, you could add this to a big creature, but I really want evasion, right? I want stealth or flight. Green does have some flight cards. Or maybe this kind of goes into a red-green deck, like a Wrath Awoken type deck, when you have a lot of flight or combo creatures. I could see that being very, very good. Or, you know, as soon as I see the +1 HP, I think of X Charge Shot, because it's like, oh, if you X Charge Shot this, the HP becomes +1 HP, +1 attack, and draw a card. So I think this is definitely a build around. Like, it's not going to go in every green deck by any means, but it's kind of good, and I'm kind of interested to see what people do with this card. Sky's Rebellion is a 2 MP action. It gives -2 attack to an enemy unit with flight. This card does not seem that great to me, because this would be a very metagame call, because some decks, quite a few decks, don't have any units with flight, so this could just be dead in hand. And even when it is good, it's still only -2 attack just to 1 enemy unit, which is actually good because it's not just for 1 attack or anything. So it's static, it stays, but it seems too narrow to be in a deck, especially when there's no like sideboarding or anything like that in Teppen. Timeless Murder Machine is a 3 MP action that gives plus 4 HP to a friendly unit. If you've had ascended 3 times or more this game, it also gives plus 4 attack. So let's say you put this in an Ascend deck, this could be 3 MP for plus 4. That's kind of nutty. That's a big buff for any unit, and especially when we're talking about a lot of the units like with spillover or evasion or combo in green, I was like, man, if you could bump the HP or attack here, make it harder to kill or hit harder, this is a good card. Timeless Murder's Machine lets you do that all in one, and it's only 3 MP. Yes, there is the hoop to jump through that your Ascend has to be 3 or higher to get the attack buff. But once you do that, which, yet again, if you're playing with this with a slew of Ascend cards, which green has quite a few that I'm pretty excited to play with, this is good. Also, worst case scenario, let's say your hand's pretty bad, or maybe you aren't playing enough Ascend, this would be plus 4 HP for 3 MP. That's not a good rate, but at least it's not dead in your hand. So at worst case, it's not good, but it's not dead, and it's decent, it's playable. But at best case, it's plus 4. I think this card's really good. I like it a lot. Call to Battle is a 3 MP action that says place 1 green unit from the deck into your EX pocket. So right there, it's basically draw a card into your EX pocket. Okay, tell me more, because that's not great. Gives that unit +1/+1 for each time friendly units have had the Ascend status this battle. That's actually kind of cool, because it's a pump spell while you're still drawing it. So, you know, your opponent can't kill it in response to you trying to pump it. However, you could be drawing a bad unit, right? Like, it's a unit that you put into your deck, but what if it's one of the units like Juan or something like that that is just there to be sacrificed to your Ascend stuff that you don't necessarily want to give +1/+1 to? However, on the other hand, what if it is one of your heavy hitter units and you're giving quite a few +1/+1s to? But this is definitely, your Ascend has to be high enough to warrant this, because I want this, a lot of times it's 3, you know, like, oh, if your Ascend is 3 or higher, I want this to be 3. I want this to be draw a card and give it +3/+3. So if you can get your Ascend to 3, this could be good, right? It definitely could be good. However, there's the RNG element of it's a random green unit from your deck into your EX pocket. So I'm not that high on this card. Oil Shower, this is a weird photo, weird art, but kind of cool in a way. It's 4 MP. It gives a 1 friendly unit +1/+2, and if you've ascended at least 1 time in this battle, it grants shield to all friendly units as well. That's actually pretty powerful. Like, +1/+2 is not that great. Like, it's good, but not anything fantastic. But shield to all of your units is pretty good, especially if you have 3 units out. That's great. However, this is 4 MP. I don't know if this warrants 4 MP. I'm not saying like, oh, this should be 2 MP, because maybe it's busted that way. But 4 MP is kind of a lot, especially when green, like, I want my green decks to be good, efficient, or very high MP cost creatures, as well as then low MP cost spells. 4 is a lot. Even if you're doing this in response to somebody, it still costs kind of 2. Yes, it's a good, powerful effect, but I don't think it's as powerful to be 4 MP. So overall, I like this card. Giving shield to your whole team is pretty good, and there are some cards that do see play. However, you know, I don't think it's worth it. This is another green card that I don't think is worth it. Double Team, 4 MP. It says give +2 attack to a friendly unit for each friendly unit on the field. This could be a lot, and it does count itself, right? So it's automatically +2 attack. It could be 2, 4, or 6, which giving +6 attack for 1 card is really, really good. However, it's 4 MP. A lot of times this could be 4 MP +2 attack, 4 MP +4 attack. That's good, and you know, I definitely do want to be pumping up some of my green creatures, but I'm not sure if this is the pump spell that I really want. Maybe it is. Maybe it's better than I'm giving it credit for, but I don't think I want to be playing with this card. It's cool, but I don't think it's great. Gold Orb is an interesting one. It's 4 MP, and it says, give a friendly unit, when it dies, place this unit on the field previously occupied board slot. If this unit had the Ascend status before it died, activate Ascend. That's kind of cool. So basically it's like, hey, I already sacrificed a creature to get this green unit, the Ascend, so it's, you know, bigger, beefier, And hey, opponent, once you kill this, it's going to come back. It's going to cause you another headache. So you need to trade off more creatures or more removal in order to really get rid of this unit. That's kind of nice. However, I feel like I've been saying this a lot about green stuff. It's 4 MP. That's kind of a lot. However, if you are putting this on a big bomb creature, that could be worth it. But your opponent can interact with this, right? If you're targeting one of your bomb green creatures that has Ascend, maybe it doesn't have Ascend, it doesn't need to. It could be a Diablos or something. They can kill it in response. Then that's a 2-for-1, right? They used 1 removal, killed your Diablos, and killed your gold orb while it was on the stack. I do think the upside is very high because it's trying to make your green units, especially those with Ascend, stick around more. But kind of the problem with pump spells, your opponent can kill it in response, and especially when that action is 4 MP, that makes that risk a little bit higher. I do think this risk could be worth it, especially if you are playing a bomb-heavy green deck. This risk could be worth it, so I could see playing a couple of these and kind of testing it out. So I've known I've said this for the past couple, but green has some interesting, not quite sure how to feel about action cards. So Natural Cycle is 6 MP. This is the legendary one, so it's like, okay, is this going to be ridiculously powerful like a lot of legendaries? And it has a wall of text. Basically, it says, when you play this card, it returns all cards in each player's hand, EX pocket, and graveyard to their deck. So it shuffles everything back in. And if the total number of those cards was more than 25, all the units in your deck, if you're the one that cast this, get +1/+1 in your deck. That's actually kind of cool. But I don't know if it's worth it. I know I've said this before, but I don't know if it's worth it. Especially that the total number of cards that you shuffle back in has to be more than 25. That means if I shuffled in 13 and you shuffled in 13, then I get the +1/+1. So that's good. However, 13, Teppen decks are only 30 cards. 13 is, yes, it's not quite half, it's just slightly under half. So this is definitely mid to late game. There's some games where you won't be getting to 13 cards in your graveyard, EX pocket, and hand. To be fair, you are starting with 5, so you're starting with 5 in hand, so that means really everyone has to play 7 cards in order for this to be really turned on. So I don't think it's super hard, but it's definitely mid to late game. But I don't know, +1/+1 to all your creatures is a pretty big effect. Maybe I'm downplaying that. Maybe I'm thinking too much of the negative of oh, I don't want this in my opener and stuff, and it's legendary, you are only playing 1 of. But I don't know, also, there's sometimes, shuffling your opponent's graveyard could be good. If you're playing against Ouroboros, you shuffle all their big fatties that were in their graveyard back into their deck. So, you're turning off Ouroboros and, all their Animate Dead effects and stuff like that. So, that could be kind of good. There could be the downside of that, too, of, you're giving them back all their good creatures. Not in Ouroboros, I mean in other decks. So, I don't know, this card is very interesting. This is definitely one that I want to play with to see actually how it feels. How hard is it to turn on that 25? And then, yeah, +1/+1 to all your creatures are good, but you still have to draw them, you still have to cast them. So also I want to see how that effect plays out. Overall, I think this card is good. I'm definitely not saying it's bad, but is it good enough to warrant a slot in every green deck? Some legendaries are just in every deck, right, that can play them? Or is this more of a niche legendary green card? Overall, green has some really good units and some very interesting actions. Some actions I'm not quite sure with, I want to play with them, but a lot of their units, it seems like green now can be more 3, 4, 5 MP, have a quicker, more aggressive curve to it with still good payoffs. So I'm kind of excited for green. Green's kind of always been this ramp type style deck, but I feel with a lot of the units in this deck and a lot of the send either enablers or payoffs at 3, 4, 5, green maybe is going to be more of a beat down. Or it could just be hey, here's some good green bombs, let's throw in, normal Chun-Li Yawn type of deck. But overall, I think green got some good tools to maybe fight in the metagame and become a little bit stronger than it has in the past. So that's going to be it for green. Next will be purple. Thanks all for watching, and I'll see you all later.